The Death of the Lion, read by Dave Marsland of Cardiff Theosophical Society. This piece is an extract from Episodes from an Unwritten History by Claude Bragdon, published in 1910. In 1886 at Ostend, HPB succumbed seemingly to her infirmities and took to her bed, lying in a state of lethargy for hours together, all efforts to rouse or interest her proving of no avail. The Countess Wachtmeister, who was with her, called in the Belgian practitioner and summoned Dr. Ashton Ellis by telegraph from London. The two physicians, after consulting together, declared that it was unusual for anyone to survive so long with the kidneys attacked as HPB's were, and held out no hope for recovery. Madame Gebhardt suggested that HPB, being so near death, ought to make her will, for if she died intestate in a foreign country, there would be no end of confusion and annoyance about her property, as she had no relations near her. Her belongings consisted only of her clothes, a few books, some jewellery, and a few pounds in cash, but still it was thought advisable that the will should be made, and a lawyer, the two doctors and the American consul were asked to be present for the purpose. The night preceding the day appointed for this meeting, the Countess passed beside HPB's bedside, scarce hoping that she would live until morning. Madame Blavatsky told her companion how glad she was to die, and that she thought the master would let her be free at last. She expressed anxiety about the secret doctrine, and gave some last instructions as to the disposal of her manuscripts. She talked on at intervals during the night, telling of many things. At last she dropped off into a state of unconsciousness, leaving the Countess to her sombre reverie. A wave of blank despondency swept over the watcher, as she felt how truly she had loved this noble woman, and realised how empty life would be without her. Her feelings found vent in one bitter cry, and then she lost consciousness of everything about her. When I opened my eyes, she writes, the early morning light was stealing in, and a dire apprehension came over me that I had slept and that HPB had died during my sleep. Died whilst I was untrue to my vigil. I turned round towards the bed in horror, and there I saw HPB looking at me calmly with her clear grey eyes as she said, "Countess, come here." I flew to her side. "What has happened, HPB? You look so different from what you did last night." She replied, "Yes, Master has been here. He gave me my choice, that I might die and be free, if I would, or I might live and finish the secret doctrine. He told me how great would be my sufferings, and what a terrible time I would have before me in England, for I am to go there. But when I thought of those students to whom I shall be permitted to teach a few things, and of the Theosophical Society in general, to which I have already given my heart's blood, I accepted the sacrifice, and now, to make it complete, fetch me some coffee and something to eat, and give me my tobacco box." When the Countess went to tell Madame Gebhardt the good news, this lady insisted upon her going to bed, while she attended HPB herself. When the Countess came down later in the day, an atmosphere of joy pervaded the entire household. HPB was up and dressed, talking merrily, and all were awaiting the arrival of the party who were to come and superintend the making of the will. When they arrived, with serious faces, expecting to be shown into the presence of a dying woman, they were much taken aback at the transformation. HPB, seated in her chair in the dining room, smoking a cigarette, jocularly offered one to the doctor and began chaffing him. The lawyer was puzzled and turned to the doctor for an explanation. He began excusing himself, repeating several times, "Mais elle aurait dû mourir." But the American consul, like a man of the world, came forward, shook hands with HPB and told her that he was delighted that she had cheated death this time, and after an animated and amusing conversation, all proceeded in the highest spirits to the business in hand. From this time onward, almost to the day of her death a few years later, Madame Blavatsky continued to labour as ceaselessly as ever, and under conditions of such physical disability as to render not simply her working but actually her living truly marvellous. The microscope revealed enormous crystals of uric acid in her blood. Never before had a patient been known to live even for a week under such conditions. Frequently she had attacks of cerebral apoplexy, but without any treatment known to medical science, she warded them off and went on with her work, confident that her life would not end before her work was fully accomplished. And so it proved. Tocqué de Freund came to her on the 8th of May 1891 in London. She had fought a good fight. She had finished her course.